So you may identify a issue with your customers where you've got a customer showing an outstanding invoice when you know that you've received payment. So if you go to the report section here on the left hand side, you may have been looking at outstanding debtors through the accounts receivable aging summary here. You could well have looked at this report and identified a particular name on here and said, hang on a minute, Tom, £1,000 here, he's paid me that amount, why is it showing up on my report? So if that's the scenario where the invoice is still showing outstanding but you know you've received the money, then we've potentially got an error in our QuickBooks, and that error could be caused due to automation. So have a look at the £1,000 that we have received in. So the easiest thing to do that through is through the little gear here. And if we go to chart of accounts, and if we run a report on activity through the account, we will identify the amount coming in to the bank account. And again, you might have to refer back to your bank statement to find a date on this. But we've got here an entry, 1st of June here, a deposit in. It's got Tom's name on it and it's £1,000. It's marked as cleared, so it's ready to reconcile in the bank. So it's not affecting the bank reconcile, but it is affecting what's showing outstanding as being owed to us from our customers. So that entry there looks a little bit strange because it's a deposit, and we would expect an entry coming into the bank not to be a deposit but to be a receipt against an invoice. So it looks like this has been added in as a deposit when it should really have been a received payment, and that's what's caused the problem with the entry remaining outstanding. If I click on this particular deposit here, we'll have a look at it, and it's come in here. It says it's received from Tom. It doesn't always happen, but quite often if we've got a mistake, it may well go through uncategorized accounts. So it looks as if no thought really has been given to where the account where this posting should go. It's gone to uncategorized income, but we have actually marked it as a vatable item. So potentially we're showing the VAT. We may have even paid the VAT on that, depending on the timing of our VAT return. So that entry really we're saying shouldn't have been a deposit. Here we can see that it's come in on that date. It's Tom. It's actually quoting an invoice number, so it should really have been applied to that particular invoice here. So the way to deal with that, providing it's not in a past period that's protected, that's already been dealt with by the accountant, perhaps a previous year, that side of things. If it's in a current period, yeah, we can look to correct that by removing that transaction and having another go at it in the banking world. So really the way I would tend to look at that, I could undo it from within the banking, but under more here I have the option to delete that transaction. And if I delete that transaction here in the knowledge that it shouldn't have been a deposit, it will return it back into my bank feed for me to have another go at it. So if I go in there and say delete, and we say yes to deleting that, then that's removed it from the entries in the bank here. But if I go back to my banking in the left hand side, it will reappear within the feed for me to deal with. It's come back in here, the invoice 110 has come through there, and you can see this time it has identified a match to an invoice, and we can click on it, make sure it's the same invoice, and we can match it to that. So we've corrected it, we've taken the deposit out, and we've then matched it to the invoice as should have been done in the first place when we saw that entry coming through from the bank feed. What that will have done is corrected our debtor reporting. So if I go to the reports here and we rerun our report on debtors, accounts receivable, you can see the £1,000 is no longer showing outstanding there. So we've sorted our problem in our debtor world, and we'll also find that by correcting that in that way. When we go to our chart of accounts and again we run the report here to look at that transaction, it will be marked with a C, and this time now it's a payment and not a deposit. So that's really identified the issue of the outstanding invoice. We've removed the deposit, which was the error, and we've replaced it with a payment. So we've now got the correct transaction going on in QuickBooks Online. So that's identifying the error in terms of the customer side, the open invoice that was outstanding, and identifying that a deposit had been put in instead of receiving a payment, removing the deposit, putting the payment in its place, and that's corrected that for us. That's corrected the transaction in QuickBooks.